So today I'm going to tell you about some of the books that I have read so far this month. Hello. Editing Mel here. I just wanted to jump on and say that honestly, when I was filming the video yesterday, I didn't even think about the fact that I had Harry Potter just here. So you can see it throughout the entirety of the video. I've already created a video where I've spoken quite a bit about my feelings about J.K. Rowling and about Harry Potter and about whether you can or cannot separate the artist from the artwork. Personally, I think that you can. So I still own the books and the DVDs of the movies. It is still a work of fiction that I enjoy, although I'm aware that J.K. Rowling is really not a very good person and has made some horrific statements and comments about the trans community, which I'm not at all on board with. As I said, I've talked at length about this, so if you wish to go and see more information on what I feel, then I will link it in the description below and in the eye. But I just wanted to jump on here and say that I apologise. When I was putting these shelves together, I honestly was just thinking about the location of middle grade fantasy, young adult fantasy, and it fitted in there. But I've now moved it so that I will not be promoting it in any videos that I film here. I did say in that video that I've talked about that while I personally think that you can separate the work from the artist and that you can get enjoyment out of the work even if the artist is not a great human being, because of the hurt that that human being has caused, I will no longer promote her work in my videos or any of my content, and I will no longer read any future work that she creates. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm aware that it's there. I apologise. I hope that you can watch a video that happens to have it in the background. If not, understandable, then, you know, obviously don't watch this video. I've moved it. Going forward, it will no longer appear in videos. So thank you, and here's the rest of the video. Me again. Sorry. I forgot to also just add that you've probably noticed I've been making quite a few extra videos this last week or so. Originally I did say I wasn't going to do Vlogmas or Bookmas, but then I decided to take part in the 12 Letters of Christmas challenge. I've actually really enjoyed just making the extra content. So I've decided that I in fact am going to be making Vlogmas, so some of the content that I was going to have just on Instagram for those challenges, I have decided to create videos instead. So yeah, I will be creating a bunch of different videos, and some have already gone up, some will go up. It will probably go over Christmas Day and into the first couple of days of the new year, because as I've mentioned before, it is now my summer long holidays. So enjoy some more Vlogmas content from me. And now back to this actual video. Let me backtrack a little bit. If you've watched my November wrap-up, you would have noticed, no doubt, that it is quite long. It's just over 50 minutes long. I don't normally like my videos to be longer than 30 minutes, 40 at the most, but I was kind of in the mood for just being rambly apparently, and because I was in that mood, I didn't want to cut it short, so I wanted it to reflect how I had been feeling and therefore behaving. But I did have a friend of mine comment saying a bit long, people might not be that interested in watching it. Totally understandable that a number of you might feel the same way. So for this reason, I've decided to trial doing a mid-month wrap-up. Now it is the 19th of December today, so we're just past the mid-month point, but this particular wrap-up will actually fit in really well with the 12 Letters of Christmas Day challenges that I have been doing over the last 7 days as part of the 12 Letters challenges that Beth from Booksnest and Lauren from Fiction Tea, Beth is on YouTube, Lauren is on Instagram, have put together as a way of sort of celebrating. I apologise for laughing suddenly. Rowan has poked his head around the corner with a cat just to make me laugh. So I made him go in the video. Ha ha ha, joke's on me, on you, wait. Joke's on you!
Joke is hats.
Joke is pistachio. True, it's true. Anyway, so yes, so I've been doing these challenges. Most of them are videos. There is one over on Instagram. I will link all of them in the description below, including my Instagram challenge, so you can go and check those out if you want to. I will also obviously link Beth's YouTube channel and her announcement video and Lauren's Instagram, so you can go and check them out, find out what on earth is going on, get involved if you want to. So today is day 8A, and it is a favourite. So I thought for a favourite I would talk about the books that I have read so far in the month of December, because there's bound to be a favourite in there somewhere. And I've got my coffee, so I need to have a bit of that. So, the books. So for those of you that don't know, I hosted with some other amazing booktubers the Hemisphere Christmas Games readathon at the beginning of December, so from the 5th to the 13th of December, and what I decided to do was actually to have my TBR game, which I've started doing, as a separate TBR for the majority of the month of December, and then have the Hemisphere Christmas Games as sort of a 9 days that was taken out of the month and had their own TBR that I was to read in that 9 days. So that's what I did, and I was successful. So I'll talk you through the books that I read in the Hemisphere Christmas Games, and then I will talk you through the book that I am in the middle of from my other December TBR. The first book that I read for the Hemisphere Christmas Games wasn't even a book. It was not even a novella. It was a 52-page short story called The Body Surfers by Robert Drew. It's the first book first story I've ever read by Robert Drew, and it was okay. I don't really have much to say about it because it wasn't really a full-fledged story. It felt like it was kind of just an excerpt from a story. It didn't really wrap anything up. It didn't really go into a huge amount of detail. If I tell you much about it, then I'm kind of spoiling it because it was really short, 52 pages long, but yeah, it was about it's contemporary about a man and his family travelling to a holiday home in a part of New South Wales in Australia where I actually used to live, the Central Coast. So that was nice because I was able to really understand what he was talking about from the environment and everything. And yeah, it was just basically a day or two out of his life talking about going up for this holiday to this shack and buying the house and some recent events that had happened in the local area. So that was pretty much it. Yeah, like I said, it was okay. I can tell that Robert Drew is a reasonable writer, and I'm intrigued to read a full-length story of his just to see whether I actually enjoy his writing in a full-length work of fiction. So I'm definitely intrigued to read some of his stuff. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's on my immediate list of things to read, but he's certainly an author I'm keen to keep an eye out for. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about it, so we will move on and I'll have more coffee. The next book that I read for the Hemisphere Christmas Games, A Merry Mistletoe Wedding by Judy Astley. So this was actually for the prompt to read a book that took place during Christmas time, Christmas period on the other side of the world to where you live. So as I am Australian, I experienced summer at Christmas time, so I read a book that was set in cold part of the world for Christmas time. So this is about a young woman who is in a long distance relationship with she's not really that young, I suppose. She's in her 30s, so anyway. So yes, she is in a long distance relationship with a man from Cornwall, so she lives in London. So it's not a super long distance relationship, certainly not overseas or anything like that, but they only get to see each other every so often. They don't get to see each other hugely, daily or even weekly. It's also about her family and about the relationships within the family, and it's about some of the stuff that she went through with a previous partner. It was quite good. It was definitely enjoyable. It was an incredibly easy read. It's 340 odd pages long, but I read it really quickly. I read it in about a day and a half because, yeah, just super easy. I tend to find this sort of light romance contemporary book quite quick and easy to read. I definitely enjoyed it. It was my favourite book of the month or of the year, certainly, but definitely was enjoyable. It was pretty well written and it was loads of fun. And I just realised that I have not grabbed my computer with all of my stats from Compile and therefore my star ratings, so I'll quickly do that now and I'll be back in a sec. So As usual, when I talk about CallPile, I am talking about the rating system that was created by G from Books Roast. I will link her announcement video where she talks about this rating system and where I got all the information in the description below. So CallPile is basically you get 7 different aspects of the reading story experience that you rate. You then you add them up, divide by 7, and that gives you your CallPile rating. And then she's worked out what CallPile rating will give you what star rating. So that's a very simple explanation, but like I said, if you want more detail of how it all works, go and check out the video from G and her channel in general. She's a great booktuber for more information. So for the Merry Mistletoe Wedding, just out of frame, I gave it a 6.29 on CallPile, which equals 3 stars. So I enjoyed the characters quite a bit. I enjoyed the reading experience overall. I thought that it had its own internal logic that worked really, really well, and the plot was reasonably good. So yeah, overall it was 3 stars. Like I said, not my favourite book of the month, but certainly quite an enjoyable read and something that I'm happy to have read. I should just let you know that I also did rate the Body Surfers, even though I felt like I didn't have a lot to say about it. I did give it a rating. I gave it a 5.14 on CallPile, which is 3 stars as well. As you can see, the star rating system has quite a big chunk of the CallPile rating within each star, certainly in 3s and 4s. But yeah, it ended up with 3 as well, but it was lower on CallPile than A Merry Mistletoe Wedding. Next up we have Titters by Anita Heiss. So Titters was a book that okay. So here's the thing. Titters hit some nerves for me to do with some stuff that I'm working through personally at the moment that I don't feel that I am in the right place to discuss at length with you guys. I do intend at some point to talk about what's been going on because I think, you know, I like to talk about real talk on this channel occasionally, and also because I actually think that my experience could be beneficial to other people. However, it's a little bit too close to the bone at the moment. I'm still working through some stuff. It's still an ongoing thing. So yeah. As you guys know, I've mentioned in a few different videos recently that I have been a bit all over the place. I've had a lot on my mind, a lot going on. This is why. But like I said, yeah, I'm just not really able to talk about it at the moment. I don't want anyone to worry. I am fine. It is not trauma that I'm working through or anything like that. Rowan is fine. My family is fine. His family is fine. It's fine. So it's not anything that anyone needs to be concerned about. And like I said, I'll explain at some point. I'm just not there yet. Anyway, Titters touched some raw nerves to do with that. So I don't want to go into detail about the book because of that, but also just, yeah, not really in the space for discussing the content. It was a contemporary book about set in Australia. So there was about 4 women who are best friends who are Titters. That is an Indigenous word, and I have to apologise. I am not certain which kinship group the word Titters is from. So the kinship group that they were talking about in Titters was the Murrays, which is in Brisbane area of Queensland. So Titters may very well be a word that is a Murray word, but I'm not really certain. But it basically means sisters, but kind of in that way that you feel like you have family, like found family. You feel like you have friends who are very close and they might as well be family, but they're not technically family. There's 4 women who have grown up together, they went to school together. 2 of them are Indigenous, 2 of them are not Indigenous. And so part of the conversations that happen in this book and part of the storyline in this book is to do with them sort of trying to figure out how to connect with each other in certain ways because excuse that crazy little Rowan. Yes, so now I have to figure out where I was up to and what I was saying.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Pistachio is helping me. I figure she needs to help
Pistachio
you
is
as
so
well.
helpful. Yeah. Oh, Pistachio. Lucky I decided to make a mid-month wrap-up since apparently I need to have all the kittens. So it's to do with some of the differences between how women who are white experience culture in Australia and how women who are Aboriginal experience culture in Australia. Two of the women are white, two of the women are Indigenous. One of the white women is married to one of the Indigenous women's brothers, so there is some conversation about blended families and about the experience of the children who have Indigenous heritage and white European heritage. And so that was quite interesting, and it's just about them navigating various things that life throws at them and various hardships that they're experiencing and various challenges to their friendships, issues of addiction and just all that sort of stuff. So it is one of those contemporary books where on the face of it, it seems like it's going to be fairly simple and straightforward, but when you start reading it, there are quite heavy-hitting topics. I find Anita Heiss a difficult author to rate, and yeah, I've read 3 books of hers now. I find her writing not to my taste. I'm not really even sure what it is. I feel like I want to say that it's very exposition heavy and she's not particularly great at showing instead of telling, but it's really strange because it's not even that. It's almost that, but I don't know. I'm not really sure how to describe what it is about the writing style that I don't particularly enjoy. Just something that grates a little bit. So I gave this one a 4.71 on Corpile, which results in a 3-star. But again, as you can tell, it's a lower Corpile rating than it is the Merry Mistletoe Wedding was, and that's mostly due to writing style, and yeah, so make of that what you will. So the next book that I read was Wondersmith by Jessica Townsend. So this is the second book in the Morrigan Crow series, the first one being Nevermore. I read Nevermore in November for Believathon, and it was so great that I immediately purchased the next 2 books, and as soon as I could I started reading this one, and I finished it actually this morning, and I really enjoyed this one. I thought that it was fantastic. I love Jessica Townsend's way of writing. There is something about her word choices and about the way that she puts things, her descriptions, the way she expresses Morrigan's character and the other characters that I just really enjoy, and I think is really interesting and really well done. As you can tell, been around for a long time, or even if you're just here for the first time, writing style means a lot to me. Anyway, side note. Yes, so I thought this was great. I loved Nevermore. I think this is on par with Nevermore. I might even like it slightly more than Nevermore. We just get into Morrigan's character a bit more. We get more information about what is going on in Nevermore, about what some of the mystery surrounding Morrigan is. We get more information about Jupiter North, who is a fantastic character, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to reading Hollowpox at some point, hopefully soon. Yeah, it's just fantastic. So on Corpile, I gave this one a 9, which is a star rating of 4, but I actually think I want to bump it up to 5 because it's just fantastic and I just really enjoyed it. I think that if you like fantasy at all, you will really like this book. If you like middle grade fantasy, you will really like this book. It's just so much fun and it's just so well written. I don't want to say too much about this book because it's a middle book. Nevermore is about a young girl called Morrigan, which is also what this book is about, and Morrigan is a cursed child, which means that she is fated to die when she turns 11, and then also any issues that happen in her part of her country where she lives are blamed on her because she's a cursed child, and the curse follows her around and causes all sorts of horrible things to happen. So she's expecting to die when she's 11, but instead of that, a man called Jupiter North turns up and whisks her off to a neighbouring country, which is kind of a secret to where she lives, to the people that where she lives. So she's whisked off. She doesn't know what's happening, but she gets whisked off to Nevermore, and then she is a candidate to join the Wondrous Society. So that's all I'm going to say about the storyline, but I definitely highly recommend this book if you like fantasy in general. It's very whimsical, it's very sweet, it's very well written, it's just lovely, and I really love it. So that was that one. The last book that I finished, I didn't start in December, but I finished in December, was The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. I haven't actually even given this a rating yet, and I'm not sure what to give it. I don't want to do this book a disservice because I think that it's incredibly well written. I think the world building is amazing. I think that the characters are incredible. I think that N.K. Jemisin is a master at storytelling, and I definitely see so many incredible things in this trilogy. This is the third book in the Broken Earth trilogy, but it's hard to read. Now, I've heard quite a few people that say that it's the writing style that makes it tricky to read, and the writing style is definitely something a little different and a little unusual. Some of the narrative in all three of the books is second person present, and you find out why in this book, and it actually does make a lot of sense. Therefore, in some respects, that experience in this book is easier because you understand what's been going on the whole time. So it's not the writing style it is a little bit tricky, but you get used to it, and once you get used to it, it's fine. So it's not the writing style that makes it that hard to read, but the content is really hard to read. It is, I don't know if this is technically classified as grimdark, but it is gritty, it is dark, it is hard content. There is a lot of trauma, a lot of bad things happen. There's references to lots of genocide, lots of unnecessary death, lots of people being just awful to each other. There's a lot of hardship due to environmental issues, and yeah, she does not pull any punches, and she is not out to make your reading experience easy. She's not out to make things easy on us as readers. Because of the stuff that I keep referring to that I'm not going to go into, I found this very hard going. I think I just wasn't quite in the right headspace for something that is so gritty and that is just so, yeah, no holds barred. So I really respect the books, and I think that if you like grimdark, gritty fantasy, science fiction, you will love these books, and I highly recommend people read them, but just know that you really need to be in the right headspace going in. I was okay with the fifth season. I enjoyed The Obelisk Gate. I felt like I was into it by The Obelisk Gate, but I think just this was not the right time for this one, and therefore it's kind of made it a little bit difficult. I definitely think that I'm going to, at some point, not immediately, I need a break, but at some point I'm going to reread the trilogy because I think there's a lot in it, and I'd like to see what I get out of it that I didn't get out of it the first time, and I'd also like to try and be in a better headspace for this book. The other thing that I found a bit difficult was you don't really get all the tie-ups that I wanted to. Now, I'm happy for a book not to have a total wrapped up in a nice neat bow ending. I'm okay with ambiguous endings. Sometimes it actually annoys me when it is wrapped up neatly in a bow, because I feel like life isn't like that. Life doesn't get wrapped up neatly in a bow. There was a lot of questions that I wanted answers to that I didn't get, and I feel like there were actually more questions raised by the ending in this book than there were answers, which again is not something that I'm angry about. I'm just a bit disappointed because I would like to know more, basically. But again, perhaps on a reread I might find more information than I did the first time around, because it's so gritty and intense. I don't feel like I got as much out of it as I could have, so I think it would benefit from a reread. So those are all the books that I finished so far in December. I do have another book I want to show you and talk to you about that I am about a third of the way through, and that is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. So this book is a lot more gritty and hard-hitting than I was anticipating. It's young adult, so I was anticipating it to be a little bit more fluffy. Not that young adult has to be fluffy. Young adult often has some very full-on and important topics that it delves into, and that's fantastic. But yes, this is a very dark, gritty world that Samantha Shannon has created. And again, similar to the Broken Earth trilogy, I can see that this is well written, and I can see that I will get a lot out of this book when I'm in a better frame of mind. So I started reading this before the 5th. I put it aside for the 5th, and I have gone back to it and read probably about an extra 20 pages or so, and I just found that it was a bit hard going. Perhaps when I come back to it at a different stage, I will even decide that it's not as hard going as I'm currently feeling like it is. But in my current mindset, I think I need to find something else to read. I don't want to do this book a disservice. It is a book that I'm reading for the 5-star prediction prompt from my TBR game, which I will link December's one in the description below so you can see what else I'll be reading. So I think that I'm going to enjoy it. Whether or not I give it 5 stars, I don't know, but I think I'm going to really enjoy it. I just think that I need to have a little bit of a break from that kind of gritty, intense fantasy. It's also very involved, and I think it will be a testament to Samantha Shannon's incredible world building, but it's just a bit much for me at the moment. So I am putting this aside. I don't know whether I'll come back to it in December or whether I will come back to it later. As part of my TBR game, myself and some people on Twitter decided that any book that I don't get to in that month will be another roll for an extra book the following month. This one isn't going to count because I gave it a shot and because I don't think DNF should count in general, but I haven't DNF'd it. I've paused it. So those are all the books that I have read or am currently reading. Like I said, it's the 18th of December, so I have a few days, a couple of weeks left of December to read quite a few more books. It is now school holidays, so I should have a fair bit of time to read all of those books in December. I keep thinking that I don't have very long, but I'm thinking of Christmas being the end of December, which of course it isn't, so I do have plenty of time. So that is my mid-month wrap-up. I am trying the mid-month wrap-up thing. I will see how I go. Let me know if you like the concept of a mid-month wrap-up, if you're happy to watch 2 wrap-ups from me every month, and let me know if you've read any of the books that I've talked about here, what you thought of them, if you have now listened to what I had to say about them and wish to read any of them. I'd love to know all of that information if you'd like to comment below. If you are not a person who particularly wants to comment but you want me to know that you were here and you were watching, please do feel free to leave me an emoji. That would be really awesome. I'm going to let you choose what emoji. Since it's favourites, again I'm going to say choose a favourite. All of my social media details, Twitter and whatnot, are in the description below. Please feel free to go and find me on any of those. And all that being said, it is now time for me to close out this video. So thank you all so very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.